Avowed is finally here. From ogres and bandits to fish monsters and sentient mushrooms, the Living Lands sure is a scary place. Unfortunately, you're here on official Empire business, so not only is there no backing out, but all the inhabitants of this so-called lawless island hate you too. No one ever said being a god-touched being would be easy, but I thought it would at least have a few advantages. After sinking well over 40 hours into Avowed, there are a few things I've figured out that have made life in the Living Lands just a little bit more viable. In fact, one of them rears its head right at the very start.
The Emperor's Envoy.
In recent years, we've seen a lot more RPGs return to a full skill check system in dialogue, often directly tying back to choices you made during character creation. Avowed is no different, having you pick from a number of different backgrounds for your character that dictate your character's skills in conversations and their base stats. If you're anything like me, you'll sit here for way too long thinking about what background and skills would be the most optimal. Well, don't. It's not as big a deal as you might think.
If you say so, darling.
Almost every conversation will have at least one skill check, and often a combination of a few from across the backgrounds. Unlike something like Baldur's Gate 3, these skill checks are also mainly reserved for additional information and lore rather than story-altering decisions. In other words, you're never going long without utilizing your character's history, and it won't lock you out of certain sections. I chose the Arcane Scholar simply so I could be a snobby, stuck-up academic. This carries over into gameplay, where the backgrounds merely affect your starting attribute distribution. The Arcane Scholar begins with more points in intellect, for example, while the War Hero has more might. Even this doesn't have any significant consequences, as you can fully reset your attributes at any time. In fact, that's exactly what I did. My Arcane Scholar is now a great sword-wielding barbarian, with more brawn than brain. One of the most surprising things I learnt was that the concept of stealing doesn't exist in the Living Lands. You know, maybe it is as lawless as everyone says it is. Coming off the back of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's full crime and punishment system, I was fully expecting to get a full shouting when I took a merchant's stock from the shelves or wandered into a peasant's home and took their food from their plate. Anything's fair game in the Living Lands, apparently, and it pays to embrace it. I strolled into a shop and took all the grenades left lying around the room. I stocked up on free food at the bar, and I took weapons from the garrison. Hey, I'm the envoy. It's not an easy job. While you can pick up a variety of items free of charge from merchants, you will have to pay for some. The grenades were free, but this cabbage certainly isn't. Avowed has a surprisingly strict progression curve, with experience gains being on the slower side and each gear upgrade demanding ever-increasing stocks of materials. Grabbing and deconstructing every item you find certainly helps, but you'll need the help of a merchant eventually.
Salutations, traveler.
Merchants sell everything from lockpicks and potions to vital adra you'll need to upgrade your gear to a higher tier. You'll need all of these and more if you want to keep pace with the enemies as you explore new regions. One of the first things you should do once you've safely arrived in Dawnshore is scour the map in search of the Wodika god totem and its fragments. This broken relic can be restored with 6 pieces hidden across Dawnshore, and each one gives you a permanent passive buff that goes a long way to keeping you breathing. Plus, it's also a great excuse to explore and see the sights. Each following region also has its own god totem to repair, so you'll be clued up on what to look out for next time. Although Avowed throws a lot of tooltips and explainers at you early on, from how to upgrade gear to how certain systems work, you'll quickly discover that some actually confuse things more than they help. Enchanting weapons is one of the biggest victims. After the tooltip explained that I could change the enchantment of unique weapons, but that it would be permanent, I thought, nah, I don't need to do that. I love my AoE frost axe. Hours went by until, out of curiosity, I checked out what enchantments I could put on it and was horrified that I could have made my life easier. Enchantments effectively act like another form of upgrade on your tools of mass destruction, though there is a choice involved. Typically, unique weapons will have one enchantment that is a boosted version of its standard effect, and one that is slightly different. That's where my frustration came in. as I could have made my frost axe way more powerful with just one button press in a menu. So there you have it. Hopefully these 5 tips will help make your journey through the Living Lands a tad easier. But are there any we missed? How are you getting on with Avowed, and what do you wish you knew sooner? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to check out pcgamer.com for more guides on Avowed and tons of other games.